Hey guys, okay, here's what's going on here. We've got the that inner wall done, and so now the next piece that goes on is the outer wrap. And again, just kind of walking you through it. Typically, I do it. This is a one-man operation for me. Really, I think it works better on these big wraps to have two people. But I have kind of worked out a way where I can do it and it will be successful. Again, it's time consuming, and so that is a problem if you don't have a dedicated area. Again, my garage is my shop and it works pretty well, but anyway, not as well obviously as a dedicated space. But anyway, we'll start working on this, and I kind of will show you how I'd approach it. So anyway, we'll get started. I'm gonna put this in the stand and show you what I'm. Well, first, before I put it in the stand, let me show you okay, that right there is a Tolex. That's the Tolex right there. And I got to face it downward. I'm going to have to trim it. The dimension, it comes out to be, where the seams will align, 51 inches and 9/16. So I will have to trim this. I'll show you how I trim it anyway. And again, this is a very granular video. I try to be as granular as I can. So that's the reason I break it up in sections, is that way you can go to the section that you want to work on, and I try to keep everything under 3 minutes on a section. So let's go ahead now, and I'm going to put it in the stand, and I'll focus it, and I'll show you how I'm doing it. Okay, here we go. As we go around, and there's my stand. There we go. So let's turn it around, and we'll slide it into the shoe. And there we go. Now I'll tighten it down. Sorry about the rough ride, guys. Okay, and I will take it. Let me get over here. Let me see. That actually looks pretty decent there. Okay, cool. So anyway, the width I'm going to cut is I'm going to go from the 54-inch width. This comes in 54-inch width, which is typically the dimension Tolex comes in. And so we're going to trim it down to that dimension. And then what will happen is, I'll show you here, the wrap. Well, actually, hang on just a second. I want to show you what we're headed to. Let's go around here, and I'll show you. And there is the top. I want to match that top. So let's get it there. Okay. So what I'm looking for is, you see where this seam overlaps here? I hope you can. I want it to where when the case is shut, the two seams will pretty much align with each other. They're not going to be perfect, but pretty much. And that's just, it's cosmetic. It's not a function or anything that has to be out, but it's just a cosmetic thing. Okay, now we're going to come back over here, and we'll continue on with our quest here. There you go. So now what I'm going to do, I got the vinyl. I'm going to make sure you can see it. There you go. So you're just going to cut my head off, but here we go. At least less cut it. Okay, so what we'll need to do is, I was making sure the Tolex is clear. So we'll flip it back over here. Again, the dimension I'm cutting off of is, I want to cut down from 54 inches down to the needed 51 and 9/16. Again, this is a critical cut, so what I would advise, you want to double check and make sure that is the right dimension. And so we'll come over here, pull it over here a little bit more, and we'll go ahead and measure this. You probably aren't going to be able to see this, but I'll go ahead. And I'm just going to measure. And it looks like it is 51 and about 7/8 is that dimension there. From there, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I'm going to be wanting to go up to 9/16, which would be there, and so that would give me, it should give me about 5/16 clearance either way. So that means it's going to be coming somewhere around here and covering these pieces, and we will be successful in doing that. So we're good as long as I cut to that dimension. So anyway, next thing we're going to do now is, again, the material I've cut for the case, which I intentionally cut long, is 48 inches by 54 inches. I will now cut it down to what it needs to be on the width, which should be from this dimension here. So anyway, now I've got 48-inch ruler over here, and this ruler here, I can take it and place it here, and then make sure it cuts square. I've got some glue on it, so get this off. There we go. And you also, in this process, you're going to get that glue on tools and stuff like that. It is water, it will come off with water. I just roll it off in a situation like that. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to need 51 9/16. You got to try to brush it out, make sure it's flat. That way you get a good, help me get this out of the way. So, you know, get things out of the way. It makes life a lot easier. Okay, now I've got something there. I'll show you here a little trick that I like to use is when I do get glue on there like that, I've got glue, I'll just take a piece of tape, go over it, and that way we can continue forward. Normally I've glued up a piece here, and I got a little bit glue, like you get a little glue on it, but it's okay for what I'm trying to do right now. As long as there's no glue on this side, it won't stick to that, but I will, when I start gluing up, I'll probably go ahead and put a piece of paper under it. Okay, so let's see what we got now. Looks nice and flat. Now, so let's go ahead. Okay, I have a tendency when I do the layout is going ahead and marking. And again, I'm a big believer in not measure twice. Sometimes measure 3 times. Sometimes even 4. I just feel better that you'll end up with a better outcome. Okay, so let's go ahead now. I also like to double check. So the dimension should be 48 this way, and it is. And the dimension should be 54. Okay, and it is. So now what I want to do, this 54 inch, I want it to be cut down to 51 9/16. So I'll get that out of the way, and then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and measure. I want to go ahead and cut it on this end though. So let's go ahead and make sure everything's out of the way. Here it is. Okay. Look, make sure that's hooked. There we go. Okay, and this is 54. That looks good. So I want to go to 51 9/16. Okay, 51 and a half. Then that means that's a quarter. That would be 9/16 there. Okay. mark there. And that looks good. So now, what I'm going to do, let's go on to the other side. Well, let's measure two in the middle. Because I kind of want to make, again, this right here can be an expensive mistake. Okay, that's 1/4, 8, 16. There we go, got that. And now I'll come back over here. And kind of just to let you guys know, probably I grew up playing in bands, but also we were in a very pretty rural area of the world, and so when the piano at the house would break, 12 years old, I was the one who would end up, we had a tuner who would come, but he was 2 hours away. And so he couldn't come, you know, immediately. So if I wanted to play, I had to go ahead and I had to go ahead then and fix it myself with his help. So I kind of learned how to, you know, fix things on the piano, like hammer breaks, shanks, cracks, all that fun stuff. And then what I did, which I'm kind of greatly proud of, is I ended up, now I've got certified as a technician over the years, and I did this as that was my hobby, that and playing in liturgical settings and playing in, you know, in secular events too. So, my background is I'm a CPA, MBA, so as an accountant, we're always very precise, and I think it kind of shows up here when I'm working on these projects like this. Okay, and that looks, let me go back here. I like that. Okay. Okay. And one of the other things too, with Naugahyde, or yeah, not Naugahyde, Tolex, Naugahyde does the same thing too. They have a tendency to stretch. So when you install it, so that works both for you and against you, and you just need to be aware of that when you're working with this. Is that you can stretch it, which is great, but if you're not careful, you'll distort it. The other thing is when you're running heat on it, you got to be careful, because in running heat on it, what will happen is you can cause it to bubble up or deform. So again, it's one of those things on there, you just got to be careful when you're dealing with this. Okay. And that's right there. Okay. So, we have it cut, ready to be cut. Looks like that's a good dimension right there. And I'm going to do something kind of interesting. I'm going to go ahead and measure here and just see, yeah, to make sure that we're square in the cutting. Believe it or not, we are. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this. And what I'm going to try to do, you need to make sure you put pressure downward on the straight edge. And it looks like I've got a little bit of, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Let's see here. Again, put it there, and you want to do it, drag it through one time. And again, what I'm trying to do is have the blade following the side of the straight edge to give me a straight cut. And I'm fixing to run off the end of the table here. There we go. Let me see if I get. And it cut all the way through. Cool. Now we come over here. There we go. Found where it was. Now we're going to do the same here. It moved. You saw it moved a little bit. I want to make sure it's put back. This is kind of a critical cut. Make sure it's where it needs to be. Looks good. There it is. Okay, we got it back. Material's got kind of a coating on it and makes it hard. That's the reason I'm saying you cut it by pushing down very hard on it. Make sure this is right. That should do it. Okay. Okay, it looks like it moves.
Okay, hon.
Okay.
Kathy Willis just reached out to find out if everything was okay.
Appreciate her doing that.
Yeah, me too. You're not going to late.
No. As we continue, we'll go ahead, cut this. And again, I'm pushing down, making sure I'm putting pressure where, and putting it up against the blade, up against the edge of the straight edge. Okay, let's see what she did. Looks good. Looks really good. Okay, so I think we're good. Let me go ahead and check. There's a little bit of a piece I'm going to need to cut on this end because I had it pushed over a little bit, which is fine. And there it is. Okay. And I'll make sure and pull this material. Let's go ahead and make sure it's nice and crisp here. Like I say, I've done Tolex for many years, and again, but I typically, it's one of the things, you're going to get a really good job if you just take your time. It's just so important that I think that, if you take your time, you can get a really professional. And I guarantee you, the Fender company, when they were doing the roads, whenever the quality was not that great. Okay, now I think what we'll do, I want to just check and make sure that we're okay width-wise. This is just a quality check. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to look at this and just kind of see how it looks. Okay. I would say that looks pretty daggum good. I'm going to bring the camera over where you can see better when I'm done. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me pull that down. Okay, what I'm really pleased, it's really tight in here, which is what I want. The pattern will match. I'll be able to match the pattern with the slope looks good. It all looks good. I'm real pleased with this. Okay, now as doing this in a one-man shop, what I will do is again use that process for, well, I'm going to mark, give me a line here where I want the vinyl or the Tolex to stop. I was getting used to this. I've been doing some vinyl work too. The Tolex is actually a trade name, but it's gotten to be, people know what it is. That it's a hard surface, outer covering for cases. And actually, even it's even used in some cases for cars. But anyway, what I'd like to do, let me show you. You know how we put this 1-inch line here? I'm going to now do the same here. And this would let me know where to start. So I come in and let me get a ruler. to do, here it is. This is, when you're doing this, this is a little easy to do it this way. So we want to bring it in for a 1 inch line. Okay, into there. Okay, so now we need to do a 1 inch line. And let's see here. This may do the trick. Okay, looks good. Okay. Yep. Again, what's going to happen is, you see, once you draw, if you have that going to the end of the Tolex there, then when you put the inside in here, you'll end up with a nice seam all the way around, and it will look it'll look really nice that way. Oh, the other thing too on this case, when I took it apart, I noticed that this right here, this knot, that it had cracked all the way through, and so what I did was I had to route out, and I'll flip it over that way to show you. I had to route it out, and then I put a mending plate in there, and then obviously you want it smooth again, and you don't want it to be in the way of anything. So what I had to do was, lights got kind of messed up, but anyway, right here I put that mending plate behind there and I bondoed it, and the idea again is to try and make it as neat as you can. Again, you can be as, it's your call on there how you want to do it. Some people are okay with the Tolex looking okay, and some really are sticklers. It depends upon it. I mean, it's up on stage, nobody's really going to, you cover it in a really neat covering. They'll be focused on that. They're not going to be focusing on the details. But let's say you're doing it and it's going to go into a client studio. Well, they may want it to look really good. So you need to be talking to anybody, or ask yourself, how much effort do you want to put in? And it's a valid question. How much effort do you want to put in? So now it looks good. We know how we got. So what I'm going to do is go along and glue this up and go along that line. You know how to glue up, and what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and we'll stop here, and then I will prep everything, go ahead and start it, and then I'll come back in a little bit later, probably want to do the back of it. Okay, you have a great day, man.